Austin, you are 30 minutes late to film the podcast. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?
Next time I text you about being on time for the podcast, don't ignore it. Consider this mercy.
Tell me, did you like Batman vs. Superman? You will.
It's a real good podcast, yeah.
Woo!
Hi, welcome to episode 2 of the Real Good Podcast. I'm Austin James.
I'm Raymond Morris.
Raymond, you want to tell us a little bit about what movie we will be talking about today?
Yeah, so we're going with the second week in a row leading up to the Justice League. Last week we talked about Man of Steel. This week we're talking about the second film in the cinematic thing, known as Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Now, to say that this movie was, should you say controversial or polarizing, would be a slight understatement. My goodness, you thought there were polarizing opinions on Man of Steel. Hold on. Zack Snyder said, hold my beer, I'm going to do one more. Holy cow, that was crazy. Absolutely insane. Because the build-up to this movie, incredible. We were just talking right before we started filming this, where, how many years were we waiting on this? From the first trailer until the movie was actually released. I think it was a solid 2 years.
I think it was 3.
2 or 3, yeah.
Because I think Man of Steel comes out in the summer of 2013, and then Comic-Con's a month later. And because if you remember, Zack Snyder announces in 2015 we're doing Man of Steel 2. And then, people were kind of whatever, but he's like, and if you ever watch the video, it's really awesome if it hasn't been taken down by the YouTube cops yet. So he's there and he's talking about, we had this plot that we just, once we thought about it, we couldn't get around it, and he goes on, and then he brings on the guy that plays General Lennox onto the movie.
He's going to be Martian Manhunter.
So he brings that guy on to read the famous line from The Dark Knight Returns, announcing that Batman will be in it. And from there on, people went nuts. But we didn't know who Batman was going to be. And even that was a fun 2 months of summer before we knew who it was going to be. People thought Ryan Gosling is Batman.
Yeah.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
Look, and then Josh Brolin was thrown out there to be Batman, but then he was like, no, I'm going to go do 2 different Marvel Cinematic Universes.
I auditioned.
I remember where I was when I found out that Ben Affleck was going to be playing Batman. And that's a silly thing. You remember where you were when major events in world history happened, and that I remember sitting in a dorm room with my friend Mark, and I was like, dude, Ben Affleck is Batman.
I remember you messaging me that too. I think
Yeah.
you probably texted me right after, and it kind of surprised me at first,
Yeah.
but then it was funny because before then, I guess I never really thought about it because, like, you know, like you always kind of saw him in, you know, Goodwill Hunting type movies or Argo. And
Well, I mean, he was in a superhero movie already. Everybody
one?
remembers
Daredevil.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
It's,
Daredevil. Right. I guess that happened.
so when he texted me he's Batman, I'm like, well, that's kind of surprising. I didn't know he's that big of a guy. And then I looked at IMDb and they listed him as like, some people say he's 6'4", some people say he's 6'5". And then you like look through these like pictures of him in suits, and you're like, well, there's Bruce Wayne in a suit. So
Yeah.
So that was the part where I was like, okay, well, this will be a pretty cool Bruce Wayne, because I was never really sold on Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne, just because because I felt like some of
Controversy.
I mean, it was okay. It never seemed like there was a duality there. Like, it always seemed like he was a serious Bruce Wayne and he was a serious Batman.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that stuff later about the different about Ben
Yeah.
Affleck's Batman in the movie. But just the I'm sure you remember the YouTube reaction to Ben Affleck being casted.
Well, and it seems like every step of the way with this movie.
Yeah,
Where
everything.
every Comic-Con came, we got the really cool rainy trailer where Batman's looking up at Superman in the bat signal, and then he says "Tell me, do you bleed? You will." And then the following, we got more trailers, and this movie really showed a lot in the trailers and had packed a lot in. We had Jesse Eisenberg as Lex, which made everybody upset. We had Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and everybody was upset except for me. I was a little bit, but you know, Fast and Furious guilty pleasure. She was in it. I was like, you know, she should do this, and she did. And there's a lot packed in there. And then the movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then the movie came out.
Yep.
That movie happened.
Yeah.
It did.
It did. And it's funny. Do you remember, like, I remember the initial reaction you started hearing from, like, people that saw it in advanced screenings, and maybe that's just how it always goes when you see it in advance.
The Warner Brothers screening that had a standing
standing
ovation.
ovation.
I
Yeah,
wonder
yeah.
if they misconstrued them standing up to go to the bathroom
That's true.
for a standing ovation. Oh, there was a standing ovation. No, man. The movie was 2.5 hours long, and he had to go pee. Come
It's
on.
like Lord of the Rings all over again. Why don't we make shorter movies?
It's like the kid.
Deadpool.
It's like the kid at Sunday school that's raising up
Yeah.
to scratch his head, and the teacher's like,
I
"All right,
see that,
Jimmy,
man.
you're gonna pray."
Yeah, yeah, that
no.
was the standing O.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I remember, and then because you remember there was rumors coming out that this movie's gonna fail. Warner Brothers
Yep.
has lost faith in it. You know that they said Ben Affleck's Batman was good. Some people said Jesse Eisenberg's Lex was good.
Yeah.
was what I heard. But then they said the rest of the movie's a mess. That Wonder Woman's horrible.
Yeah.
all this stuff. And then the movie came out, and people people.
There were people
Like-
that loved the movie. There were people that hated the movie.
Yeah.
So we'll do a brief.
Yeah.
What you thought here?
Yeah.
For me, I gave the theatrical cut. It was strange. Film critic in me gives it a 5 out of 10 because structurally, and I'll get into this when we start doing the fun of this. I gave it a 5 out of 10 because structurally and it just felt like half the movie was on the cutting room floor. What is this hot mess? But then the film, the superhero geek in me, the Batman fan in me is looking at this Ben Affleck Batman who is awesome. Come at me, I don't care. I love the interpretation of it and understand where his character is at that time, and why he does what he does. And the Gal Gadot did a great job as Wonder Woman, and seeing all the little Easter eggs, and like it's a long movie, yes, but when you bear with it and you kind of read into it, it was awesome, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. So like there are dueling personalities that go on when I watch this movie, and it's terrible, but it's awesome. I hate it, but I love it. And there's a lot to work with there. And how did you feel about it?
I mean, I kind of was like you. I think I was a little bit more positive on it than most people were. I remember it was one of those movies where like you really, I mean, it was a movie, even if you didn't like it, I felt like you had to see it twice to like really catch all the little things you might have missed the first time, because it's one of those movies where it's like kind of like it's almost kind of like, I remember like the Matrix movies kind of being like that. Like if you blink and miss one moment, that was huge. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna come back.
You won't know kung fu.
Yeah, that's true. So so it was like that too. Like it was like you really had to pay attention. But I think it was all warranted with. I really enjoyed with Man of Steel. I really loved the build up to the movie. The third act was a little weaker, not bad, but a little weaker. With this one though, I mean there was a little bit tweaks and stuff, but the third act is absolutely. I mean maybe that and Avengers, the first one, would tie in as probably the best you can get comic book movie. I mean, I'm saying best comic book movie ever, but like when you think of comic books, that's what you think of.
Yeah.
You think of explosions
It's
and
bonkers.
awesomeness.
It's just bonkers.
Batman is hiding in the corner, but at least he's making the Dark Knight Returns pose, so that's cool.
Oh my gosh, it's great.
It's all like it's just so cool.
It was. I remember leaving that movie, and win, lose, or draw with it, wherever you fall with this movie, it felt like an event. It is the only time I've gone to a theater, and that includes the Star Wars Episode 7.
Yeah.
And watching the new Avengers and things. Batman v Superman felt like an event.
Yeah.
It was hard to describe because it's not a Man of Steel sequel and it's not a Batman movie, but there was just so much crammed in there. And it's just heavy and weighty, and you feel that with everything. And it was an event. It was a big time event. And I've never felt that with any other movie.
No.
However, that was for initial reaction. And so what we're doing today is a redo. And what we do with redo is we take a film that has issues. Some people hate it because of the issues. Some people love it because of the issues, despite the issues. And we are going to pitch for each other how we would fix it. There are some rules with how you're going to fix this movie. First rule is you can only replace one actor, so you can't just completely recast the film. Second rule is if it's in a filmic universe, such as this is, the end result of the film universe, so going into the next movie, has to remain the same. So, for instance, with Batman v Superman, spoiler alerts if you somehow haven't seen it yet, or whatever, you have been warned. Don't watch this until you watched it.
I mean, you can watch it.
I mean, yeah, you can rewatch. like this, subscribe, and then watch this later after you've watched Batman v Superman. Rewatch the opening scene that we did. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But so with this movie, you've been warned. Spoilers. Superman dies. And that is a major kicking off point of the formation of the Justice League. Mm-hmm. So something like that has to happen.
Yeah.
Superman has to die. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And outside of that, have at it.
Yep.
Have at it. So, Austin, tell us what you liked about this, what was good, bad, and how you're going to fix Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Go.
Yeah, and we hit on a little bit about how I really enjoyed the third act and the excitement and all that. So that was really great. Ben Affleck Batman was terrific. Like I hit at earlier, maybe I would say tied with as far as the duality of Batman. I would tie it to the 1980s Batmans, where there's definitely a difference between the guy in the mask and the guy outside of the mask.
Yeah.
And maybe, I mean, because you're more of a Batman guy than I am, but I mean, I know the character.
Darn tootin'.
And I know the character enough to where I always feel like there should be, because everybody loves the animated series one.
Yes.
But the only thing with the animated series one, it kind of has that same thing too. Like when he's Bruce Wayne, he's still doing the exact same voice. Like
yeah, it's a little kinder.
different.
It's a little more kind.
Yeah.
Like you could believe that Bruce Wayne would pet a kitten.
Yeah.
Batman would punt it.
But I remember somebody coming out of the movie. So what I really loved about Ben Affleck's Batman, it wasn't like he was Robert Downey Jr. rock star, billionaire, but you got the idea. Like as his character of Bruce Wayne, it's definitely an act. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if everybody's in on it, but it's definitely like you can see like he's doing the stuff where what's her name. Can't think of her name. Lex's henchwoman.
Oh yes.
And stuff.
Yep.
But anyway, she comes up and talks to him, and she walks out of the room, and he says something to the effect of, "Oh, I like those shoes," and he's drinking a cocktail and stuff. And Batman can think quicker than anybody because he can take out half the Justice League. So I think all that is just him he's kind of he plays off. He's kind of this goofy party boy. He's in his 40s now, so he's kind of like this kind of lone wolf thing. Kind of like what Brad Pitt probably is now that he's single. So something like that, which you would never think that guy is going out and beating menaces every night and wants to take on Superman. Like, you wouldn't think those are the same two people.
Yeah.
So I really love that aspect of Batman, and he was terrific. And as far as the theatrical, could have been better. As far as Superman, he didn't have anything to do in the theatrical version, which definitely a huge problem I had. Was that A, I love Superman, but B, it's Batman and Superman. It's kind of like if you did King Kong versus Godzilla, and Godzilla just shows up at the end. Would still be cool, but why would you put him in the title?
Yeah.
So I liked how in the Ultimate Edition, it really is a great performance once again by Henry Cavill as Superman, and really you got more of Clark Kent, which I felt you really didn't get in the last one. I mean, because he's Kal-El, I felt as more in the first one. Yeah. So you get the more human him going around and interviewing people, and I think you're starting to see him becoming more human and starting to see why these people are fearing the Batman and why he wants to fight the Batman and stuff. Mm-hmm. So what was kind of what'd you like? What was your negative?
So for me with this movie, and I'm gonna really touch on this a lot when I pitch you my story. But the positives were Ben Affleck's Batman was great. Loved it. Gal Gadot, sorry, or Gadot, whatever.
Or Gadot?
Whatever.
I don't know. William Miller.
Is great. Awesome. I like Lex Luthor to the extent that it seems like it's a facade that he's putting on. Just like Batman has this mask that he puts on in public, I think Lex puts on this outgoing Riddler, borderline Riddler, goofy kind of guy facade to really hide the menace underneath. But a negative is I don't think that came out very well in the movie. More on that later. And that you touched on it. The third act, the action and stuff is great. You take all of the Batman scenes, like the fight scenes with Batman, put that together. That is in contention for one of the best Batman movies we've had so far. It is great. Yeah. And we touched on it last week. Zack Snyder's a great visual director, and so he's a great visionary. He's able to really do a great job with that. Cons, my goodness, the editing in this movie does not make sense. They take scenes that should be placed in other places and put them in wrong places. It doesn't make any sense. For instance, even in the Ultimate Edition. In the Ultimate Edition, Perry White comes in one time and goes, "Why is Clark never here?" Oh, he clicks his heels 3 times and he must go back to Kansas. And then we don't see him actually in Kansas until the end of the movie.
Yeah. That's because
like
you're
that is
that's
a
what
perfect
it's setting up
and
for.
it's a portion where he goes and he talks to his mom.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Be their hero, Cal, or don't. I'm gonna love you anyway."
Yeah. And it's a great moment.
And it's a great moment, but that could be placed right there.
Right. Yeah, that's like they set it up for that.
It's like they set it up for that, and it doesn't happen. And that happens all through this movie. And earlier in the film, when Lex is telling the congressman says, "Tell me what your wish list is." And he's like, "Well, Santa, I want access to the alien ship. I want Zod's body, Jolly Rancher cherry flavor. Please and thank you. This is my Christmas list." Yeah. But what they do, instead of just showing him doing that boom, 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 they intercut these scenes of him going and getting these things at that time, which may not seem like a big deal until you watch the movie and you realize that some of those clips are happening when Lex is actually going in to the ship at the end of the movie to create Doomsday. Yeah. Like, those moments, some of those moments deserve back there, but now we're getting those cut to the beginning of the movie and we have no sense of time and what's going on. Yeah. And so there are just moments where you're cramming so much into one movie. Yeah. And with the theatric release, there are parts just cut and just move side to side, and it doesn't make any sense. I'm all for nonlinear storytelling, but you got to make it coherent storytelling, and it wasn't. which is a major pain until the third act. The third act hits, we go full speed ahead.
Yeah.
And it's almost as though they backload all the action to the end of the movie, minus a chase scene towards the beginning.
Yeah.
There isn't the very beginning of the movie, you get the Metropolis destruction. End of the movie, you get that big thing. You get the car chase with "Do You Bleed?" about maybe halfway through the movie, and that's it. And the rest of it is talking. And I understand the talking, but when you're going into a superhero movie, there needs to be some more stuff through there.
Yeah.
And so those were some cons that I found in it. But they're not things that should deter you from going and watching the movie.
I agree.
And I think there is a good movie in there that can be salvaged. So how would you, knowing your pros and cons here, how would you save this movie?
Well, you know, I don't know if mine necessarily make it completely better, but it's maybe more coherent, makes more sense, sort of thing. Just getting at, you know, just to jump out there, you said, you know, change around things. So what I'm going to do is bring a character into the movie that is in this universe, that's been casted, so it's not like I'm recasting or anything. So you know, you have the opening of the movie, the first 10 minutes, perfect. Nothing needs to change about that.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So it ends with, you know, the guy that works for Wayne. I think his name's Wally.
Wally.
You know, he gets his leg smashed, and then you know,
not to be confused with West.
Yeah, not Wally West. Because that guy would not be able to move very fast.
No.
So they build it up like there's gonna be a build up. I mean, because he's the guy that goes and spray paints on the Superman statue. So you were kind of thinking like this guy's gonna be a villain, which I'm still in my heart of hearts thinking that's what they were originally going for. And then an executive came down and said, "We need Doomsday." You know, and a Batman vs Superman movie, we need Doomsday.
Why not?
Yeah. So so the way I envisioned it is, and I think that you kind of mentioned this could have worked as well. So you have this Wally guy. So Lex finds him, and so the way I envisioned, I like Jesse Eisenberg staying as Lex, and so the way I always envisioned the movie being is Lex being more of a philanthropist, you know, because he's kind of the young hotshot guy, kind of literally what Mark Zuckerberg does, who he's played. So I imagine the whole movie he's really drawing in the emotion of the people of Metropolis and Gotham City because they're side by side, which is also something that's never been done before, which I thought was interesting. So all these people have been affected by this, and I imagine, you know, he's doing this whole like, oh, look at this family, they've been torn apart and stuff, which is a good thing to do. So I imagine that's kind of who he's trying to side with, you know, because he's trying to look like the ultimate image of a poster child, you know. And so what I imagine him doing is Wally is the guy that, like he does, he meets up with him, and instead of giving him the titanium wheelchair, I imagine this being, because you always imagine Lex, because I get what they were doing with this, it was trying to tie it more into Superman's origin with the, you know, with wanting Zod's body and all that. But I kind of think of the original Lex, he's always more of like a tactician, kind of like a scientist, you know, like an actual scientist. So I imagine he hears of, and I want to keep it in our same universe, obviously. So the big thing is you see that in the Justice League trailers that Cyborg's going to be in the movie, and he's been made, because even in Batman vs Superman, you see the infamous file scene with all the different Justice League members, and so you know he's been created. So instead of making Doomsday, I like the idea of him trying to hire Cyborg's dad, whose name is Silas.
Yeah.
So he hires him from Star Labs to create he wants to try to create an army of kind of cyborg people. Because at the end, he still wants to take out Superman, but he thinks this is how it should be done. So the way Batman and Superman first clash is, so you know the whole thing is he's looking at the white Portuguese boat, which is carrying kryptonite and all that.
Yep. So
I kind of like the idea of maybe Batman already has it. Like, I don't know why, but he does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Lex just has it too. But so I like the idea of instead of maybe necessarily trying to get the the kryptonite, what he's breaking in to try to get is the actual like mechanisms for the suits and everything. Because I was thinking you could tie that into that's where Batman gets the suit from.
Okay.
He builds it from that tech. So he's kind of breaking in there. And so in the midst of Lex trying to be the perfect everyman, he actually gets Superman to kind of do things for him. Because the whole thing with Lex is he's always able to get, people to come to his side, see
Yeah.
it my way. So I could imagine Lex being, these people don't trust you. And, you know, Superman's all about, what am I in this world? He said, be their poster boy.
Be their hero, Clark.
Yeah, so, like, he literally can turn him into, like, I could see him treat him like, you know, an agent when they signed Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to throw him on every tennis shoe.
Yeah.
So I imagine he's trying to put Superman everywhere. So in a way, Superman's kind of his guy that will go and do things. So I imagine the first time they clash is when he sees Batman kind of breaking in, and they have this whole conversation about, you know, because that is very Batman, like the whole vigilante, I'm going to do things for justice, but it's not legal, like breaking into buildings, you know?
Yeah.
So they could talk about, like, you know, like, you're supposed to be, I've heard of you, you're supposed to be a monument of justice, but you're here, you know, doing all these illegal activities. And they kind of have a tussle there. And then, of course, so then after that, you know, after that you kind of get, so that's where I like it. He's kind of building a cyborg army. And so instead of having Wonder Woman in there, you have Cyborg in there at the end. As kind of, as, you know, because he's prototype A, right?
Yeah.
And so Wally becomes prototype B, as what Lex creates. And prototype B is a code name for Metallo, who is a Superman villain that's kind of, I mean, you'd have to give it a little bit of liberties, but I think that the liberties there would be, I think people would be more forgiving than Doomsday, because more people know that comic, which a lot of people know Metallo if they read them, but I feel like the average person that just knows the Christopher Reeves movies probably doesn't know who Metallo is.
Yeah.
But that would be my thing, is that so you team up with Cyborg, Superman, Batman versus Metallo. And then, you know, you could still do, because Metallo is powered by kryptonite.
Yeah.
So he could still be able to kill him.
Yeah.
In the same fashion, because he was, you know, kryptonite spear and all
Yeah.
that. So that would be my version. I know I kind of rambled there. But
Well, it's interesting, because with the whole cyborg army thing, you can go back to even the original Superman cartoons by Art something. We're going to put it right here. The guy's name. I grew up with those, and one of those is there's like a robot army that goes and steals a bunch of jewels and things.
Yeah.
And so how cool would it be, you have an opportunity for an Easter egg with that, where maybe one of Lex's ideas for the army thing originally looks like those robot men. That would be really a cool
and
Easter
plus
egg.
it plays into Lex's characterization of, you know, his whole thing is why he wants to defeat Superman and eventually Batman, is he doesn't like power types that you know, that they you know, like, they can do all these things, but behind closed doors, they're terrible people. So the idea of having cyborgs that only can do what, you know, they're told to do.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because I imagine he's kind of got like a trust issue.
Yeah.
So the only thing he can trust is a cyborg that does what he tells it to.
Yeah. So yeah, that sounds good. I'd watch it. So my pitch, I'll do it really quickly here. Or try and be very succinct with this.
Yeah.
My major issues were pacing issues and trying to get the average fan in there. So one of the first things I'm going to change, I'm sorry, but references to the Justice League are thrown out. We're cutting the file scene. You can make that a post-credit scene, maybe in the Batcave, where Batman emails it to Wonder Woman, and then you get that as a post-credit scene. You could do that. I'm fine with that. So you get rid of that. Nightmare scene is retooled.
Yeah.
No Omega symbol. None of that. No Parademon showing up. Even though I love that scene so much, we got to get rid of it.
No Flash.
No Flash scene. No.
One day.
So what happens? So when I look at this movie, it is apparent that Batman, Superman, and Lex are the three main people that are going to be butting heads. Batman and Superman, their greatest battles happen because they have bumping ideologies. Batman wants, he goes through fear, he's fueled by vengeance, and ever since the Metropolis thing in Man of Steel, he sees Superman as a threat to human existence. And he's very jaded by this. And I didn't catch it until rewatching it just the other day, where it's inferred almost that Batman has become super violent in like shooting people and branding people, not really since Robin died, but since Superman showed up 2 years ago.
That's true.
So now he's going no holds barred. There are aliens threatening our existence. I'm going to do whatever I can to try and build something to survive and help humankind thrive. And so I'm going to leave that in there because he's older and he thinks he's wiser, but he's a jaded Batman. On the flip side, you have a Superman who is a beacon of hope. And he's wanting to do that. We've seen that through Man of Steel. He's learning that these are my people. They can trust me. And he's trying to gain this trust. So he's fueled by hope. He wants to fulfill what justice truly is. And he believes that all men are good, which is interesting. He believes that men have the capability of being good. Batman doesn't think that aliens or superpowered beings have the capability of being good, that they're all evil. And so his ideologies line up more with Batman and Lex are there. So the way I take this movie is because you have Lex with the he says that line that knowledge without power is paradoxical.
Yeah.
And so he feels that. And so Batman is feeling this, even though he's kind of a powerful being at this point. So I'm going to leave in Lex manipulating Batman to take out Superman to then be taken out by Lex is how I see that whole ordeal going down. And I'm also going to take Lex's portrayal. We're going to direct Jesse Eisenberg differently to add in some opportunities for him to be the goofy guy that everybody hates. That a lot of people hated about that movie. Leave that in there, but give him a couple of times where he has to go take a phone call. And he leaves a party, and he's walking down this corridor, and all of a sudden, that Lex is gone. And this stoic, "Hi, I'm Lex Luthor, and I'm going to break your neck," comes out.
Yeah.
Cutthroat. And I think Jesse Eisenberg can do that. So how do I fix this? We're going to retool a few things. We're going to leave the opening the same. But then Act 1, we show Batman's rising distrust, and you're showing Lex starting to manipulate these different things. You see Batman investigating who Superman is. You have Lex taking Wally. I love the idea of Wally being the villain. He swoops in, offers to help this Wally guy, right? He helps him out, and we start seeing Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Lex starting a business deal. To be able to develop these new technologies that it's similar to what you're talking about with the robot thing, where there's this, and I love that comment in Batman v Superman when Lex is like, my R&D department is up to all sorts of no good.
Yeah.
Well, in my version, you see what the no good is because Bruce Wayne is actually helping fund this and work alongside of Lex. And so Batman is actually learning about Lex at this point as well. Through this business deal. And through this time, Superman is trying to figure out what his place in the world is. I love those scenes where he's saving people and people are debating whether we need Superman. Obviously we do, but people are still thinking that we don't. And so you leave that in there. And at the end of Act 1, we have Batman who has investigated Superman. He's going and doing something. He's going to steal the kryptonite because he knows that Lex has it and he wants it so that he can take down Superman. Batman does. So we have that scene, but that Batman chase scene, where the "Tell me, do you bleed?" happens at the end of Act 1, not halfway through the movie. And Act 2 starts showing us Batman is starting to work his way. He's trying to build up this. He's starting to train, and he's starting to see the urgency in trying to find a way to take out Superman because he has his nightmare. So the nightmare scene shows an out-of-control Superman who is in charge of the entire world, similar to the way his nightmare scene is already, but without the Omega symbol and without the dark side stuff.
Cool.
And so what happens is then halfway through the movie, you have it's in the first part of Act 2. You also have this really cool moment where Wally, instead of getting a wheelchair from Lex, gets cybernetic legs.
Okay.
That's part of the technology. So now you have Lex and Batman looking like these philanthropists. Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Lex helping this man walk. And during this same time, Superman is hovering above because he doesn't trust what's going on in here. He's trying to figure out what's going on there. He doesn't trust these guys, and so the legs are starting to work, and during that time, there has been the challenge is thrown to Superman at that point. Come to the Capitol and pay and take initiative for what you have done. Look at the badness you have done. Show up here if you're a man. Show up and do this. Kind of like what's already in the movie. Mm-hmm. And the guy Wally shows up at that point. And the halfway point of the movie is the Capitol building explosion.
Okay.
That happens. But somehow Wally survives. Maybe Superman saves him. Mm-hmm. Or something happens with the legs that he survives somehow. And what happens is the explosion happens. Bruce Wayne is like, holy crap, this guy I've helped. This guy that I've seen come back and I've helped has been destroyed potentially by a man because of Superman.
Yeah.
Who could have saved him, but he didn't. So he is fueled by rage again. So we get that training scene with Batman prepping the kryptonite and getting all of this ready. Superman is thinking and questioning whether he should be Superman or not. And you also get Lex helping Wally get pieced back together in the only way that he can in the Metallo suit.
That's interesting.
And so what happens is towards the end of Act 3, Batman fights Superman because he's prepped himself and he's ready. And through that, we get the Martha scene again because I love the Martha scene. I think it's great. I don't care. It's just awesome. We can go rounds and rounds about why it is. But during Act 3, what happens is we have this culmination where Batman, we've seen why he's fueled by this rage. We've seen Superman, who kind of is wondering, well, this man might be bad. But somehow Superman is going to fight him unrelated to Lex. Lex gets him and he tells him to fight Batman, and we get somewhat of that. But the reason is because Lex wants his kryptonite back, right?
Yep.
And so Lex has this master plan to get Superman to kill Batman, but really Batman is going to try and kill Superman. And he has kept Metallo in the back pocket in case to kill Superman once he kills Batman. Or to kill Batman if he kills Superman.
Yeah.
So he wipes out both of these guys because Lex is all about mankind. We can do this ourselves. We don't need these superpowered beings to do this. So I'm going to control something to go and take care of these things that these superheroes supposedly would do. So you get this fight, and Batman and Superman end up seeing eye to eye because of through these means. And you get the warehouse fight.
Yep.
You get the warehouse scene, you get Superman and Batman working together, and you get them fighting Metallo at the end with Wonder Woman. And I think you weave Wonder Woman through the story the same way they did already. I think it works. But in order to make the final fight fair, during these scenes where Lex is going and investigating the Kryptonian technologies in the film, he's not looking at how to fight Doomsday. He's going and he's actually taking things from the ship to create metal, a metallic thing that would be able to withstand Superman's attacks.
Oh yeah.
And so this in the Batman v Superman, they make a big deal about the wheelchairs made out of the same metal as the bullets. Well, it's the same deal, except it's this Kryptonian metal that Superman can't laser through. So in the final fight, Metallo has this chest cavity that opens up, and it's powered by kryptonite. So he has these kryptonite blasts that can take Superman down and hurt him.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman comes in and tries to chop him in half, and she can't because this metal can withstand those blades. Yeah. And then you have Batman, who's actually able to join in the fight against this robot because he's a robot, and he should be able to actually be involved in it. Yeah. So that is how, and Superman dies at the end. But you involve all these characters, you weave the storyline through a lot better, you have more action placed throughout the film, and I think it ends up being a more enjoyable movie. Yeah. Also, I think you do some really cool emotional things at the beginning. You don't kill Jimmy Olsen at the very beginning of the movie. Yeah. Gosh, he's not a CIA operative. And the second thing, though, in the Battle of Metropolis, I think you kill Lucius Fox. Because the guy that ends up dying in the building
Yeah.
is named just a white guy named
Jack.
Jack. It could be the
Yeah.
guy from Titanic. We don't know.
Yeah.
But I think you put Lucius Fox in there
Yeah.
because that Batman fans know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
We understand then the emotional impact even more of what this battle what happened in this battle,
Mm-hmm.
and you can still have them because I believe that the Batman trilogy is going to be a set of prequels to the Batman v Superman. That's how I would do it.
Yeah.
And so you could have Lucius in there.
Yeah.
So we've gone a long way, but that is how we would do Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
It's funny because I don't think ours are totally different. Like there's little tweaks, but I like the idea of we both using Wally as kind of the spearhead as the villain, and then you have kind of the same idea of using the technology based stuff versus the alien.
Yeah,
Doomsday.
it just because what you want to do is you want to find something that's natural to the story that's presented, and not have Deus Ex Doomsday come in at the end.
And I get why they wanted Doomsday, because if you're going to kill off Superman, I mean, Doomsday's nice.
Yeah.
Something that could be interesting too, as I'm just sitting here thinking about it. I mean, it might be too much, but you could almost do so. The famous thing is when he fights Doomsday, he literally dies, and then the heartbeat is slowly going and comes back. Is you could almost maybe somehow find a way to do like the one where in the Justice League where he's zapped into like
all the
1,000
alternate
years
dimensions.
Yeah, that could be kind of because that could be like kind of a subplot in a Justice League movie. But then you get to there's too much going on, so maybe it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My idea is it has a lot in common with the Superman and Batman movie from the animated movie from the 90s, where Batman and Superman actually Batman and Lex actually team up, create this technology, and that ends up being the technology that fights Batman and Superman at the end.
Yeah.
And I think really you look at that and you could use it as a template for what they should have done with this movie.
Yeah.
But tell us what you think. How would you save Batman v Superman? Be nice in the comments. So yeah, that's how we would do this.
Yeah.
You want to tell them what's coming up next week, or should we just preview it like usual?
We could do it that way too.
Do you want to?
Let's do it.
All right.
Roll it.
Rolling.
Yoo-hoo, Raymond. Ready to film a podcast. Coffee. Fresh coffee. Raymond never leaves his coffee unattended.
All my friends are heathens, take it slow.
Whoa, that was kind of creepy, wasn't it? I wonder what's going to happen.
I can't tell you because we work for YouTube.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
No. But anyway, next week we're going to do the same thing. How would we save Suicide Squad? We're going to do a redo. And this one, this week we're kind of similar, and I'm pretty sure though next week is very, very, very different. Mm-hmm. We have very, very different ideas for how to save this one because there's a good movie in there somewhere. Gosh darn it, but we're gonna find where it is. So make sure you like, subscribe. Austin, where can people find you?
My name is Austin James. Again, you can find me at Twitter. I'm at 80james24. I have a Facebook page. And so if you find me on one of those two items, go for it. I also have a Snapchat that I follow like 3 people on. So if you want to be my 4th, go for it.
Don't. I'm at official R Morris on Twitter and Instagram. And you can follow the Red Turbo Jacket Productions. Look for the end titles screen. We're at Red Turbo Jacket Productions. Just search it on any of the social medias and you should find us. Also, this podcast audio only version will be available on iTunes. We will be within the next week or so. We're getting some things ironed out with that. So look for that. We're on iTunes, also on SoundCloud. And the video will always be on YouTube. So make sure you like and subscribe and share. For the Real Good Podcast, I am Raymond Morris.
And I'm Austin James. And
Tell me, did you like Batman vs. Superman?
I kind of did. I kind of did. So let's go to the end. Wait, hold on. Hey, your wife's calling me on your phone, on my phone, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hello? I thought she was with you.
You left her at lunch, didn't you?
Yep.
I thought she was with you.
Oh, crap.
Follow us.